Hey guys, today I wanted to make a small video to show you how I go about creating an hand-painted texture. So here I'm using 3D Code to just see the tiling of the texture, and I'm using it mostly to just create the base shapes. So I know I want to make a wood texture, but I'm still not sure what the shapes are going to be or the type of wood. So I'm just experimenting and trying different things. Once this phase is done, with Control P, I open Clip Studio Paint. By default it's Photoshop, but I changed it so I can use that. And I just start introducing some color variety in the texture. And one thing I like about Clip Studio Paint compared to Photoshop, it's really how easy it is to blend colors. And they end up looking very nice because it's sort of like wet blending of paint. It feels more natural compared to Photoshop. That's why I'm trying to change my main painting software from Photoshop to Clip Studio Paint. And of course the other advantage is that it only costs like 25 euros when it's on sale. But anyway, back to the wood. You can see now that I found my shapes and introduced some color variation, I just start to define the shapes a little bit more, introducing highlights for the edges where there's going to be a little bit more light being caught by these edges, but also like wear, because if you observe different materials like stone and texture, usually the edges of things are where the wear is going to be more apparent. So it's something to keep in mind when you do textures in general, not just hand painted, but in this case specifically for hand painted textures. And there's not a whole lot to say about this specific process, because once you know the material and you figure out your shapes and your overall colors, it's just a matter of refining the paint strokes and just making sure you reach that level of polish that you want in your texture. You will see me switching back and forth a couple of times with 3D Code, because I also have to make sure that I'm not breaking the tiling and that it looks nice once you tile it, because there are textures that can look nice standalone, like there's just one instance of that texture, but as soon as you start repeating it, it becomes very ugly. So that's something you might want to pay attention to. And you see me here just painting a little bit in 3D Code, which I don't do too much of because I don't like the brush engine of 3D Code that much. But it's good enough to, fix the tiling issues or things that might be difficult to paint because they're in the corners of the textures. So that's one thing to keep in mind there. And at this speed, you don't really see it, but I'm trying to be pretty deliberate with my strokes. Like, I don't push and pull paint a lot around. I usually just make one bold stroke and then try to refine the edges of that stroke. And for this specific style of texture, which is pretty simple, it doesn't have a lot of details going on, that's something that really saves time. And this whole process from start to finish, including the rendering and the other maps creation that you see in a little bit, only took 1 hour. So it can be a very quick process to paint like this, let's say with more bold and confident strokes. And you see me now, I'm just about done with the painting. I'm still refining some edges, but you can see it already has a final or finished look. Here I'm inside Materialize, which is this nice free software that you can use to create different maps starting from a diffuse. So I just import my wood texture and I start making the height map as a first, and from that height map I'm gonna create the normal map for the details and the smoothness map and AO map, which ultimately I'm not gonna use, but just experiment around, play with it. But it's a really nice software. And there are other things you could use like Substance Alchemist, but that's paid with a subscription, so this one is free. So I recommend you give this one a go first. And here in Photoshop you can see me real quick just adding some cooler tones to the texture, because I didn't really like how it was just completely uniform with those very saturated browns. So in the end I just ended up changing just a few colors here and there. This is just a matter of personal taste. I mean, it's not like it was looking that terrible before, but it's nice to have some color variation. And here again, I'm inside of Marmoset, and I'm just importing the maps that I just created with the Materialize for the final render. And here we go. Here's our final hand-painted wood texture. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.